Editing my work in progress day 7 has not started yet. As you can tell, it is morning, and I have just taken my daily shower and I'm getting ready to get down to work. But I wanted to clear my head a little bit because I've got some thoughts racing around in my mind, and it's another case of me coming to a realization about who I am and what I'm doing. So, I've mentioned that I'm doing these daily videos to keep myself accountable to myself because I wanted to prove to myself that I could be consistent with something like this, even when I didn't feel like doing it. And so far this year, I've done exactly what I hoped I would do, and I've posted a video every day. Some of them are not great. In fact, many people would think that the quality of most of them is really not up to par, but that's not the point. The point is that I'm doing something for myself. And if it resonates with other people, that's wonderful. That will make me happy. And if it doesn't, at least I've made myself happy. And I also came to the realization this morning that that's what I'm doing with my writing. I am trying to do something that makes me happy. I am putting it out into the world, and I'm hoping that other people find it who may find some enjoyment out of it. It may not be the best thing they've ever read, but hopefully it resonates with them in some way. And I think this is where I am having troubles marketing because I completely understand that not everybody is going to like what I do. Not many people may like what I'm doing because, I don't know, maybe you might say I'm an acquired taste. I'm not the kind of person that immediately appeals to most people, I think. And I think a lot of these thoughts today are coming from having watched people yesterday when we were at our book event. And we did have some very fun interactions with people. We chatted with them about books and the things they like to read. And I always find it interesting the people who come up and point out that what we write is not something that they enjoy. And that's fine. I have no problem with that. I completely understand. But why do they immediately go there? I mean, what is it about people that makes them feel like they have to point out something that doesn't appeal to them? Um, my first thought is normally, let me check it out, see what it's like. It might be something I find interesting. Not, oh, I know I won't like that. I don't know. I find it sad that someone's thoughts maybe immediately go to, well, that's not for me. And they could be missing out on something they might enjoy, which is not to say they would enjoy my books specifically or my videos. But if they don't give them a chance, how will they ever really know? And we have offered our books for free. We sell our ebooks for 99 cents. We're not, believe me, we are not making any profit whatsoever off of our books at this point in time. And JT and I are fine with that because we know that someday maybe we'll find a following and we'll at least break even. We're not expecting to be multimillionaires. And that may be for the best, seeing what kind of problems the wealthy are causing in the world right now. So I don't know at this point in my life if wealth would change me, but you never know. And really, that's not why I'm doing this. I'm doing this because I'm having fun. I'm having fun recording these videos. I'm having fun writing my books. No, they may not be to the tastes of the current market. No, they may not ever be hugely popular. And I think the realization I came to this morning is that I'm okay with that. I thought, and I've thought for a very long time, that it would be awesome to be a best selling author. But there are a lot of downsides to that too, because the more visibility you get, the more the trolls come after you. And while I may not have a huge following, the people I interact with are, on the whole, pretty pleasant. And I have been to places where it is a very popular act or it is a very popular author or something like that. And they draw a wide variety of people. And among those people, there will inevitably be people who just want to cause trouble. They want to bring people down. And I don't like that. So maybe part of the reason that I personally, I'm not going to loop JT into this, but I personally may not be trying to promote myself as hard as I could because I understand deep down that it could lead me to problems that I don't enjoy. And it is, I think it's a good realization that I came to this morning that um, it's it's okay. I don't have to be the best. I don't have to be the most popular. I am accountable to myself. I am enjoying what I'm doing. I'm trying not to hurt other people. I mean, sometimes it's unavoidable. We accidentally do things that may step on someone else's toes. And I kind of equate it to walking on a sidewalk and you don't see the ants underfoot. It's not something you're doing intentionally. And I do try to be mindful of avoiding those kinds of situations, but sometimes you just don't know because everybody's different. Everyone reacts differently to different situations. And that was the realization I came to this morning is that no matter what happens, I'm going to continue to post my daily videos, at least for this year. I'm going to continue to write my books until I get all of this stuff out of my head, just because I need to get it out of my head. And one reason I'm posting this video right now before I start editing is because I needed to get the thoughts out of my head so I could sit down and focus on what I'm doing. And I may not be writing the most popular tropes, but I am writing things that are very personal to me. The book I'm working on currently, I am definitely exploring a lot of the things that I'm going through personally right now as a woman in my early 60s. The main character is in her early 70s, but she is in a long marriage. She is dealing with obviously paranormal elements because it is a paranormal romance, but she's wondering about whether external things are creating the way she's feeling or if it's all internal. And I think maybe a lot of people may understand the feeling that you don't quite know excuse me, know what's going on with yourself some days. You may go along feeling great for a long period of time and then all of a sudden something happens. You have an emotional shift, you get injured, you lose your job. Something happens that really shifts how you feel internally as a person. And I think the main character in Restless Spirits Book 2 is going to be dealing with a lot of this. Some of the early feedback I've received is that the characters do feel very personal, and obviously there is a reason for that because I am writing about some of my personal experiences in this book. And I'm going to continue to do that. Passion Restored, which is Restless Spirits Book 1, I was dealing with the idea of having a relationship with my mother as an adult, which I did not have before she passed away, and what that might have happened. I mean, it was definitely a what if situation. The main character isn't completely based on me because she's a woman in her 50s and she's single and she's living with her mother. And I married young. I had both parents until I was in my late 40s. So that was not my life at all. But I wondered, if I hadn't gotten married so young, if something had happened to one of my parents, what would my life have been like as a result? And throwing in the paranormal aspect, she was not looking for a relationship because she wasn't necessarily, I don't know, bored with her life. She was comfortable. She was in a bit of a rut, and things started happening that brought her together with the main male character. And some of them were paranormal. So they're wondering if the relationship is built on real attraction or if their outside forces are bringing them together. And I thought that was kind of an interesting twist. I'm trying to make it a little bit less mundane, maybe. I'm not saying that I believe or disbelieve in paranormal things because I've had experiences that I couldn't quite understand. And I still wonder to this day whether they were internal or external. And that's what I'm exploring in this series of books. And the romance elements, it's not spicy. I guess I'm just not comfortable writing that. I've tried. I have written some spicy scenes that end up coming out of my books because I just don't think that that's my kind of writing. I do read it. I have no problem reading it, but I just don't feel comfortable writing it. And I think that's on such a deep level that it just doesn't come out. It comes out awkward. I could write it probably if I sat down and really focused on it, but that's not my natural inclination. So I'm trying to write what's natural to me, even if it doesn't appeal to the biggest market audience. And I'm hoping that it will find readers that will, find some, I don't know if it would bring anybody any comfort or just make them feel a little bit less alone, at least, because some days we do feel very alone, even in this crowded world where we may have a lot of people in our lives, people close to us that we love very much. It is still possible to feel alone and lonely sometimes. I think that's just normal human, experience. And so, what I'm doing to make myself happy. And I've come to the realization today at, this point where I'm closer to 63 than I am 62 now, that I'm okay with that. I I've done a lot of interesting things in my life. I've never been the most popular. I've never been the most recognized. Um, I'm like a lot of people, just getting through the day, putting one foot in front of the other. Every once in a while, you might get minor recognition for something you've done, which may not have been your intent when you set out to do it. Because even though it would be fun to be a best selling author or a famous author, all in all, that's really not important in the grand scheme of things, I guess. It's more that I'm finding personal fulfillment in what I'm doing. I'm sharing it with the world in case somebody else might find it at least enjoyable. I don't think anything I do is perfect. I know for a fact my videos aren't. And while I'm trying to make my books the best books they can be, I'm not hitting all the right story beats or anything. It's just that was the other realization I came to today, which relates to my editing process, is that I don't think the stories are poorly written. They're just written from my perspective, and they may not appeal to a broad audience for that reason, because I have never been the kind of person that's been part of a large group of, popular people. I was the one that was hanging out in the library at lunchtime in high school. So I don't know if that really plays into the fact that I'm, oh, I don't even know how to put it really, I've always been very internally focused and have related to the world from my own personal experience. So I've noticed that a lot of things that maybe wide groups of people will realize don't come to me naturally. Those realizations don't come to me naturally. I've had my kids point out many things to me that look blindingly obvious after the fact, but before they mentioned them, they never occurred to me. So the things I'm writing reflect this fact that I have been a very internally focused person. You might say I'm self-centered. I try not to be selfish, but I think we're all self-centered to some point, and that's probably part of the human experience, that we are self-centered because it's a measure of protecting ourselves. Because if we're not aware of what's going on internally, we may fall prey to something that's happening outside of us. This is not to say that I don't pay attention to things outside of us, because going back to my stepping on ants analogy, I do try to watch out for people and places and things around me. I'm not completely internally focused, but a lot of my downtime is spent thinking about what I've done throughout the day, thinking about the people I've met, and it's all very internally kind of mashed together into my thought processes. This may be a perfectly common thing for people in general, but since I don't sit around talking about my thoughts and feelings with a lot of people, I don't know. And that's one of the reasons I don't think I have a lot of the awareness that my kids do. They were not the most popular kids in school growing up, but they had good sized friends groups, and they mingled with a lot of people with different backgrounds, different ethnicities, different religious beliefs, and it was great because I loved seeing that kind of little melting pot of friends that they had. It was a mini melting pot. And a lot of those kids did hang out at our house for a while, which was awesome. I will say that one of the things I miss about having the kids grown up and moved out is that their lives are separate, and JT and I kind of have our own little insulated world here, which we love. We do love our quiet, and we're always reminded of how much we love it when we do out an outdoor event like yesterday where we talked to people and then both of us came home and napped because I guess at one point in time we were more used to dealing with people on a regular basis, and now that we're kind of removed from that a little bit, it's I don't know, maybe that's a common experience for older retirees, is that your world becomes much smaller and dealing with the world at large can be very exhausting. So, I definitely am not keeping up with the times the way I used to when my kids were living in the house, because they kind of kept me up to speed on pop culture with what them and their friends were enjoying. And I do interact with my grandkids, so I have some idea of what their friends groups might enjoy. But even my grandkids are not among the most popular kids at school. They're kind of, I guess it runs in our family that we're more quiet, and we tend to attract smaller groups of people. So maybe that's what I should be expecting from a potential readership, is that I'll never reach a wide audience, but maybe I'll have a small group of readers who really kind of understand what I'm trying to do, or maybe they something I do resonates with them in some way, and I'm okay with that. That was the big realization I came to today. I'm okay with that. Part of what really spurred this morning is that for the first time, I actually got a dislike, or maybe more than one dislike on, no, I think it was one dislike on video. And I was like, that's fine. There was a time when I would have been thinking, oh my gosh, what did I do wrong? Why doesn't this person like me? But, it's just, I guess I wasn't that person's cup of tea. And, you know, I don't have to be popular to everyone. I don't have to be liked by everyone. I just have to be happy with myself and what I'm doing. And I need to try not to hurt other people in the process, which I'm very careful to do as much as I can. Like I mentioned, I've unintentionally hurt other people in the past, but I try very hard not to do that. But even so, I can't know what somebody will find offensive. I try my hardest, but I am not all knowing and all seeing, and I do unintentionally cause people hurt, and I always feel bad about it, and I try to rectify it if I can. But I guess in the long run, just trying to be the best person I can be and make myself happy without hurting others is all I can hope for at this point in my life. And if I am never a New York Times bestseller, yeah, is that the worst thing? If it does happen at this point, I'll be absolutely shocked. I think I mentioned in yesterday's video that I've sold like 6 copies of Passion Restored this month, and my mind is blown, honestly. I went without selling any books for so long that having that many books in that shortest time is just a mind-boggling experience. And I know there are authors out there who would think, "Oh my gosh, 6 books over a period of weeks. What are you even doing?" And there would be people who are probably selling 6 books a minute or more. I know at the height of some popular series, I'm sure more than 6 books a minute were selling. So it's all a matter of perspective, and my perspective has shifted. And this is another situation where it did not occur to me until this morning that I'm perfectly okay with this. I'm Yeah, I'm still going to be a little bit hurt that somebody didn't like my video, but I'm not taking it as personally because I understand that they, of course, it could be somebody that was just being grumpy and they're trying to troll me. They didn't leave a mean comment, which I appreciate, but it could also be someone that was just like, that's not a great video. And that kind of goes my other thought about that. And this is something I think about quite often is things like negative reviews, review bombs, and people who do troll other people. Why do you have to go out of your way to point out the negative to someone? I'm sure they've had enough self-doubt that they've thought about the negative things that you're pointing out to them, and you're pointing it out is not going to fix it. It's just going to make them feel bad. So if there is something that is absolutely a problem that can be fixed, that's one thing. But if you're just pointing out your negative feelings to someone for the sake of pointing out your negative feelings, that's just kind of mean, really. And JT and I did a podcast, not the one we posted today, but it was our podcast, I think, from last Sunday, where we talked about kindness. Because when we're kind to other people, we find that other people are kind back to us. And we try to be as kind as we can, even when we disagree with people. And the same held true yesterday. There were some people who came up and they made it clear that our books were not for them, but I still chatted with them. I didn't try to be mean or anything and just ignore them. We had a very nice conversation, really, in the long run. And yeah, I was a little hurt that they didn't even want to think about trying our books, but that wasn't the point. I think the point was that we had a pleasant interaction. We shared a few moments of time together, and then we both went about our days. And I think when you have those positive interactions, it's easier to go about your day in a good mood than it is when you have a negative interaction with someone. Because when I have negative interactions, that ruins the rest of my day. And it can ruin several days. So that's why I try not to have those kind of interactions with other people, because I know personally how I feel about it. I can't know for sure how the other person might feel about it, because some people may just shrug it off and move on. And if they can, kudos, because I wish I could do that. But that was kind of a long-winded explanation of what was going on in my mind this morning, but I really needed to clear my head before I sit down to my day 7 of editing my work in progress. And I think the editing, excuse me, I think the editing will go better now that I've cleared this out of my head. And hopefully I am internalizing what I'm saying, because I want to be very clear as I'm working on my manuscript that I'm not trying to cater to a particular audience. I'm trying to explore the story that I'm trying to tell, which is not to say that I don't hope people will enjoy it and that I don't hope it will be the best work that I can create. But I cannot appeal to everybody, and I don't know how to appeal to everybody. And I'm tired of trying to chase those likes and those sales, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to be the most popular person on social media. I don't need to be a viral influencer, even though I always thought it would be fun to be a grandfluencer. I don't think I'm old and cute enough for that yet. We'll see what happens. But it's okay to maybe just be mediocre because I'm having a good time. I'm fulfilling a lot of my dreams. As a kid, I love Lucy. I loved her shenanigans. And a lot of the things I've done as an adult were as a result of trying to emulate Lucy, not fully understanding, of course, that her life was a fictional representation of things that might happen to someone. But by doing that, I managed to be an extra in a movie. I ran for office. I stomped grapes. you know, I had fun doing it. I have very fond memories of doing those things. I wasn't elected to office, which I found to be a good thing after the fact. And, I didn't become a major superstar because I was an extra in a movie. And again, my books aren't the most popular. I'm not a New York Times bestseller, but I'm still having fun. And I hope if you've come across this video and you've actually made it through, that you take a moment to think about what you've been doing, Are you trying to chase popularity? Are you trying to be, I mean, if you're still in the working world and you're trying to do your best so that you can get maybe that promotion or that wage increase, that's totally understandable. But I hope you're at least doing a job that you enjoy. I hope that you don't dread getting out of bed in the morning and going to work. I hope that you are having pleasant interactions with your coworkers and your supervisors and the people that you may supervise. And I hope that just you're trying to live the best life you can. You're trying to make yourself happy and, you know, you're enjoying each and every day whenever you can because that's all we have. We only have today. So as I'm here recording this, talking to you, I'm getting a little emotional now. But I'm just hoping that you're doing okay because it's a rough world out there. And wow, this really went off the rails. I did not expect to get this emotional about this subject, but I guess it's something I've really been feeling deeply, and I didn't even understand what I was feeling until today. So, if someone comes across this video and dislikes it, I may take that personally because I'm hoping that maybe we're sharing a moment of connection. And if you're feeling alone or if you're having a rough day, you take a moment and think about, well, what's good in my life? What am I doing that's fun? And if you don't have a lot of those kinds of things, maybe you need to change what you're doing. You may not be able to get a new job right away, but maybe don't chase that promotion quite so hard because getting to the top of the ladder may not be what you need. And that can be okay. If that's what you really want, that's fine. Do what makes you feel good and try not to hurt others in the process. So that's my update for editing day 7. And yes, in a roundabout way, that does relate to my editing because I was thinking a lot about my writing and how I'm writing and the lack of popularity of my writing yet. I don't know if it will ever take off, and that's okay. That's really what I'm trying to say is that maybe all those things that we dream of aren't really the things that we need. And I think I've mentioned that in previous videos that we don't always really see what we need maybe until after the fact. And when we get what we wanted so badly, we find out that it really doesn't make us happy. So, would I be happy with a New York Times bestseller? Well, sure. Okay. I'm not going to deny that. Should I be chasing that? No, because that's not the point. The point is that I'm enjoying what I'm doing. And I hope maybe one or two people out there may read my book. Those 6 people that read my book, I hope you got at least some enjoyment out of it. I hope if it was dreadful and you put it down, that's fine. I understand it wasn't for you. But, I hope maybe at least one of you enjoyed the book. And that's enough. So, if you stuck with me on this roller coaster of a video, I really appreciate it. And I hope that maybe it gives you a little food for thought and that maybe it inspires you to take a few minutes today to do something for yourself that you enjoy just for the sheer pleasure of doing it. I thank you for coming with me on this journey, for following along on my videos. And if you have happened to read one of my books, I really appreciate it. I'm not even going to ask for reviews anymore, because whatever. If you had a good time, you put the book down and moved on, that's fine. And that's cool. I'm just going to keep writing them and putting them out there, and you can ignore them all you want. I hope you're having a wonderful day and weekend. As I'm recording this, it is Sunday, April 12th, 2026, and we had a little bit of snow this morning, which was a bit of a surprise, but it didn't stick. And now I'm off to edit my work in progress, day 7. I'm Cassidy Carson, and this is the life of a writer. Take care.